Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our producer, Jeff Durall. We're in the MakerSpace in the basement of Forsyth Library on the campus of Fort Hays State University with the director of the Fort Hays State University Science and Mathematics Education Institute, Dr. Paul Adams, who is also serving this year as interim dean in the College of Education, as if he didn't have enough to do. Paul, thanks for visiting with us today. Oh, and I forgot, I should mention his associate, Sheldon.
Sheldon. Yes.
This is a new addition to the MakerSpace, right, Dr.
That's right.
Adams?
Yes, we have Sheldon. It's a now robot, humanoid type robot, and his the twin brother or sister, or twin it, because it's not really a person, but it's twin it. We have another one that's not here with us today. But Sheldon was able to make it, and I was looking forward to visiting with you.
I think that we'll display Sheldon and some of his capabilities here in just a few minutes. So how did you learn the existence of Sheldon?
Well, the way I learned about these robots in particular is that a colleague of mine down at University of Texas, Tyler, thank you, and but he was kind of, I guess you might say, showing off that something that he'd bought for his science center, and how he was telling me that was a great way to attract kids, get kids interested in STEM learning, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And I said, you know what, we need one of those here. And the other part was I had been listening to public radio, and they had a spot about how these robots were surprised everybody as they would draw autistic children in, and they would actually interact, begin to learn some things from a robot working with an autistic child because of its ability to have infinite patience, because it can do the same thing forever.
And not necessarily relating to a human, but the children could relate better to Sheldon.
Better to Sheldon. And so those two things, it was the possibility of attracting more interest in STEM, and then also being able to be of service and do research that can be of service to our community. Well, the two things that drove me to try to get this funded.
I noticed that Sheldon, like most of your class members, turns to look and pay attention in class, just like Fort Hays State students should.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty smart robot, because right now it's running what's called autonomous mode, but it means it's going to respond to the environment, and it's just background, like I said, respond to me talking and come to me better than some of my students. But Sheldon is responding. It was developed in France. It is actually, we might think it had been developed in Japan or Korea, but developed in France, and very, very good programming. And not necessarily a cheap device to get. We were able to acquire two at the price of about $30,000, and that was done in collaboration with Forsyth Library, because it's kind of a joint project, joint effort to try to do that.
Well, and it's going to be available to many different venues for use and education purposes, right, Dr. Adams?
Right. One of the part of the reason we brought it here is Carol Murray at USD 49, who works with the autistic children. She had read the research, and I talked to her and said, I really want to get this. And I connected her with one of our faculty members, Diana Plunkett, in teacher education. And she read about it too, and they thought we could come together, and if we have this tool, and it is a tool, we could do some things, wonderful projects for our Fort Hays students to learn better how to work with students, how to push the edge of technology, to interact with students with special needs. And then Carol saw this as a way to help her accomplish her task and have a more dramatic impact on these kids. So that's one of the uses. It'll become a research project. In this semester, they're going to just try it in the classroom, begin to get a feel for it, and develop it. But on the other side, it has some interesting marketing or entertainment pieces. And my other goal with these is that they're fairly simple to program, because they have a drag and drop programming. So you can come in, and anybody can come in here to the MakerSpace and learn how to program, and you drag icons and you can make it do things. But then you want to make it do the fine things, like act out Star Wars or dance to Thriller, which it can do. But if you want to do all those things, you have to move from simple drag and drop to coding. And one of the things that that is a concern nationwide is how do you attract today's children at the elementary and middle school to move past being consumers of all these things to becoming the next generation of coders who write all these electronic programs that people love to have, all the apps that you have on your phone. And this is the hook. It's the hook, because we get you in, you say, well, I want to do more. Well, now you got to go learn how to write the code to do more.
So not only students at Fort Hays State, but other students, even outside projects for the public interest as well, Dr.
Sure.
Adams.
Yeah, and that's part of, for example, this MakerSpace that we talked about. It's a partnership with the Science Math Education Institute, Forsyth Library, is we serve the students of the campus, but we are also open to the public. Like 2 weekends ago, we had a Super STEM Sunday, and 110 parents and children came down into this little space and out there, and they built stomp rockets that we had. They learned how to solder, which was interesting because a lot of parents had to stay there and learn how to solder with their children. Did some engineering challenges and also some 3D printing. And so we're open to both the public and to our students.
And by the way, speaking of 3D printing, you've just recently acquired a larger 3D printer, I believe.
That's right. We acquired what's called a Stratus 3D printer, which just means it's actually a commercial grade printer used in industry. And we got it partly because we needed something that could print more complex projects, larger projects. And we had the opportunity because over in the Institute of Applied Technology, they've expanded to a STEM center, and they bought a new 3D printer, and they said, gee, we've got this old one sitting around, do you want it? And I said, sure, I'll take it off your hands. So we're able to bring it down here again for people to learn how to use. And I did want to bring a thing about this robot, is when I was talking about it's an easy thing to learn, when we were doing our training, we had some of the CAM students who were peeking in the windows because they heard there's 2 robots down there for training, and they peeked in, and we invited them in. And in about 5 minutes, they were programming it, making it do what they wanted with the drag and drop. And one of the students was even going to, the other part, he knew how to code, which is write the actual computer coding to do it, and he was starting to do that. So a great tool, and again, I invite people to come down and learn how to use and do that sort of thing here.
Well, now, Sheldon is in a sitting, by the way, does he, can he be programmed to run cameras and things like that?
It turns out...
sorry about that.
Well, it turns out that...
Lost my place there for a minute.
But I will add that, by the way, Sheldon is actually seeing everything around here, and on our monitor computer, we see what Sheldon's looking at.
And learning.
And so we could send him out to walk around and make recording, and kind of doing it.
Or do interviews, perhaps.
And do interviews, perhaps. But his cameras are not at his eyes, his cameras are on the head and the mouth.
Okay.
And so it's a little different. But Sheldon is recording this event.
Jeff, it seems like our time is limited, perhaps. It's a very short window here. All right, you mentioned some of the capabilities of Sheldon. He's in a sitting position now. We're going to demonstrate some of the things that he can do here in just a few minutes. But you can see training sessions coming up for general public?
Yes. We were, as part of the package that we were able to do, we have some site license here where people can come to learn it, and we have the curriculum that a person could come into the MakerSpace and read a chapter and just try it. So our training sessions are more in the vein of what a MakerSpace is about, is we've got the resources, we've got some people to help you, and come down and learn. We believe in a lot of this lifelong learning and learning how to learn.
We ought to mention the MakerSpace hours while we're about it.
Well, and the MakerSpace hours are Monday through Thursday. We're open from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night here. Friday we're closed because our students need the day off, and that's when we do it. But Saturday is a great time for the public from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That people can just drop in and see what's here. And then Sundays 1 to 6 p.m.
Wow.
So quite a bit we've expanded, and again, it wouldn't happen without a partnership that we have going on campus to do it. And again, we're looking for community partners to try to expand or make this more available to a larger community.
Well, Dr. Adams, you're usually thinking ahead in many, many projects. Tell us about some future uses that you see for Sheldon, perhaps, not only working with children who might have special needs, but other uses maybe.
Well, one of the uses we have, for example, is that we have some students, the CAM students again, I come back to them, but they're so excited about it, but looking at them and the possibility of doing some service learning and programming. So maybe this is developing a storytelling robot that could work with children, would be an example that's come up. Other uses we're looking at doing are even being able to come in here and be a director. Just people come in to say, oh, here's what this is and here's what this is, because of our people are here working and maybe they can't do it. So that's another possibility. I have a fellow that's looking towards his Eagle project, and he was inquiring about doing his Eagle Scout project of getting a bunch of his friends from the high school, writing the program and having this used in story hours with children. But when I say stories, it's not sit there and read, it's acted out. When this guy does Star Wars, there's sound effects and sword play and the whole thing, but it's a way to engage kids, in this case, engage them with reading. So there's this whole service piece of how can we engage people, and I think that's going to be our focus.
Sheldon will even demonstrate some stretching for us here in a few minutes. I do want to give you, in the last 3 or 4 minutes, Paul, a chance to talk about some of the upcoming science events at Fort Hays State.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we have coming up in October is going to be Space Week, which we've been doing for several years. And in Space Week, we have it's October 4th to 10th. And we'll have rocket launch, community rocket launch on the morning of October 4th, and the Astronomy Club's going to open up for observing for the community. And we have a special science cafe, which is by John Ross on NA, the National Aeronautics Commission Administration. But anyway, it was preceded NASA. John knows all about it, so it'll be an interesting talk. And then on the science cafes, we're going to be continuing in the fall. And so the other one that we have coming up in October is going to be on immunizations, which is, in the news, everybody's talking about don't do it, yes, do it. So come and get some real information from people who know about this that's coming up. And the other piece that we have coming in November is another science cafe by the new geoscience chair, Dr. Grady Dixon, on hail and deer and several other answers to your questions about storm chasing. So that'll take us through the fall, and invite the public, and of course we'll be putting out publicity for people to know.
And the science cafe still will be held at Gella's, right?
Still having it at Gella's in their back room area, and free and open to the public.
And the rocket launch will be taking place once again. That's a big public event,
Big
Paul.
public event. We've made arrangements to go out to the fairgrounds where we do it and have fewer rocket losses than we would in other places, but we always lose a few. So that's
all right. MakerSpace then with Dr. Paul Adams, the director of the Fort Hays State University Science and Mathematics Education Institute, and of course Sheldon, our newfound friend, today on our Community Connection. Thanks for watching. We're with Sheldon, my newfound friend here. Hello, Sheldon.
Hello, Mike. My name is Sheldon. I am excited to be with you on Eagle Community Connections. Mike, before we start, should we do some stretches?
Yes.
Yes.
Not sure I can do that move, Sheldon. Wow.
Woohoo.
Thank you. Time to rest.
Mike, you should come to my home at the basement of Forsyth Library to hang out, 3D print, and just invent. Bye for now. See you soon.
Okay, Sheldon, it's a deal. Bye-bye.